I secretly installed cameras in my house without telling anyone. When I checked the footage, I caught my sister and her husband doing something unthinkable. I warned them, fix this in 1 week or you'll regret it. They laughed. They actually laughed. Until I showed the police everything. My name is Caroline. I'm 36 years old, and I work as a financial controller at one of those big manufacturing companies downtown in Chicago. 4 years ago, I finally saved enough for a down payment on a house. Nothing fancy, just a 3-bedroom place in Riverside Heights, a quiet neighborhood on the south side. I'm still paying off that mortgage, but it's mine. That matters more than you might think. My parents, Ruth and Henry, retired about 2 years ago. Dad spent his whole life as an electrician, and Mom worked as a dental hygienist. Their pensions aren't great, so I help out. Well, I helped out. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Then there's my sister, Amber. 7 years younger than me, which makes her 29. She got married last year to this guy named Derek, real charmer, that one. You'll see what I mean. I've been Amber's personal ATM since I got my first real job after college. She was still in high school then, always needing money for something. New clothes, concert tickets, whatever teenagers want. I didn't mind. Big sister duty, right? But here's the thing, she never stopped asking. Even after she graduated, got her own job at some digital marketing agency downtown, the requests just kept coming. Caroline, I need that salon downtown. Caroline, Derek, and I can't quite make rent this month. My typical month looked like this: pay my mortgage, pay my parents' utility bills, send them grocery money, cover Amber and Derek's rent, then handle whatever random request Amber came up with. I was basically supporting 4 adults plus myself. But here's the thing, I could afford it. The job paid well. I didn't have kids. What else was I going to spend it on? Then about 3 months ago, our neighborhood started having problems. Break-ins, package thefts, the whole deal. Mrs. Henderson next door had her garage cleaned out. The Johnsons, 2 houses down, lost their bikes and lawn equipment. I called Secure Home Solutions, this company my coworker Diana recommended. The technician who came out was super thorough, a guy named Victor who'd been in the security business for 15 years. You want just the basics or the full package? He asked, clipboard in hand. What's the full package? Cameras around the whole perimeter. Motion sensors. Cameras inside the main areas, living room, kitchen, hallways. Everything uploads to cloud storage. You can watch live from your phone. Get alerts when motion is detected. Let's do it, I said. Better safe than sorry, right? They installed everything the next week. 8 cameras total. For outside, for inside. The app on my phone showed me every angle of my house. I could check if I'd left the garage door open or see when packages got delivered. Pretty cool, actually. I didn't mention the cameras to my family. Not for any particular reason. It just didn't come up. They didn't visit that often anyway. And when they did, who sits around talking about security cameras? They're just there like smoke detectors. You don't announce them. That's when everything changed. That's when I discovered the truth hiding in plain sight. About 2 weeks after the installation, I came home from work on a Tuesday. Something felt off the second I walked in. Nothing obvious, just that feeling like someone had been there. You know what I mean? Like the air was different or something. My coffee mug wasn't where I'd left it on the counter. I always put it by the coffee maker. The throw pillows on my couch looked like they'd been moved. Little things that made me pause. You're being paranoid, I told myself. Too many true crime podcasts. But the feeling stuck with me. I even walked through the house twice, checking windows, making sure the sliding door to the patio was locked. Everything seemed fine. I made dinner, leftover rotisserie chicken with vegetables, watched some Netflix, went to bed. The weird feeling eventually faded. Then came the gala incident. 3 weeks later, our company was having this fancy fundraiser dinner. Black tie optional. I remembered this gorgeous silver clutch I'd bought about a year ago. Spent way too much on it, one of those designer things from Coach, but I'd seen it in the store window and just had to have it. Only used it once to my cousin's wedding. I went in my closet where I kept my good bags on the top shelf. It wasn't there. Okay, maybe I moved it, I thought. I pulled everything out of that closet, checked the guest room closet, the hall closet, under my bed, the garage where I had some boxes of old stuff. Nothing. I was going crazy looking for this thing. It was a Friday night. The gala was Saturday. I called Amber. Hey, did I ever lend you my silver clutch? The designer one? What? No. Why would you even ask that? She sounded offended. I can't find it anywhere. Thought maybe I'd let you borrow it and forgot. Caroline, if you'd lent me a Coach bag, I'd definitely remember and I'd have returned it. I'm not irresponsible. Okay, okay. Sorry. I must have put it somewhere weird. Maybe she was right. I had done a massive spring cleaning. Donated a bunch of stuff to Goodwill. Maybe the bag got mixed in somehow. I ended up buying a different clutch for the gala, but it bugged me. That silver clutch had cost me $450. Life went on. Work got busier as we headed into year-end. I was practically living at the office, leaving at 8 or 9 most nights. Weekends were for catching up on laundry and sleep, then came the watch incident. My grandparents' mom's parents had given me this watch for my college graduation. It wasn't super expensive like a Rolex or anything, but it was special. A classic silver design with a leather band. More importantly, it was from them, and they both passed away years ago. I kept it in my home office in the desk drawer in its original box. I was doing a deep clean one Saturday. You know, the kind where you actually move furniture and vacuum behind things. I was organizing my desk drawers when I opened the one with the watch box. The box was there. The watch wasn't. I stood there staring at the empty velvet interior. Like if I looked long enough, the watch would magically reappear. I tore that office apart, moved the desk completely, checked every drawer 3 times, looked in every room of the house. That watch was gone. I made myself a cup of coffee and sat down at my kitchen table to think. Really think. First the feeling that someone had been in my house. Then the missing handbag. Now the missing watch. Once is an accident. Twice is a coincidence. 3 times? 3 times is a pattern. Someone was taking my things. But how? The house was always locked. I had an alarm system, the basic one that came with the house when I bought it 4 years ago. The only people with keys were my parents. I'd given them a spare set when I bought the house. For emergencies. No way. My family wouldn't steal from me. Would they? Then I remembered the cameras. 3 days later, I checked the footage from when I was at work. The motion sensor had triggered at 2:47 p.m. I clicked on the video and my hands started shaking. 2 people walked up to my front door. They used a key to open it. They walked in like they owned the place. I zoomed in on their faces, even though I already knew who it was. Amber and Derek. I sat there staring at my laptop screen, watching my sister and her husband walk through my house like they belonged there. My hands were shaking so badly I had to set down my coffee mug. The timestamp said 2:47 p.m. on a Wednesday. I was at work in a budget review meeting. They knew I'd be at work. Of course, they knew. I watched Amber go straight to my bedroom while Derek wandered into the living room. She was going through my closet, pulling things out, examining them like she was shopping at a department store. She held up a burgundy cashmere sweater I'd bought at Nordstrom. Showed it to Derek when he came in. They were talking, laughing in my bedroom, going through my things. Laughing. She put the sweater in a tote bag she'd brought. Then she went in my jewelry box on the dresser. I watched her pick through it, selecting pieces, showing them to Derek like they were browsing at a mall. I felt sick. I scrolled back further. 2 weeks earlier, another visit. This time they spent longer, maybe 40 minutes. Amber went through my home office while Derek checked out the garage. I watched her open the desk drawer, take out the watch box, look at the watch. She called Derek over. He examined it, nodded, and she put it in her purse, just like that. Like it was nothing. I kept scrolling. Another visit 3 weeks before that. The day I'd felt like someone had been in my house. They'd been here for over an hour that time. Amber went through my bathroom cabinets, my kitchen drawers, even my laundry room. She took a bottle of Chanel perfume, some expensive makeup, a pair of Nike running shoes I'd barely worn, the handbag. I found that footage too. 6 weeks ago. Amber trying it on, posing with it in my full-length mirror while Derek gave her a thumbs up. Then into their bag it went. How long had this been going on? I checked the earliest footage available. They'd been coming here since the week after I'd installed the cameras. Maybe longer, but I'd never know about anything before the cameras went in. I felt betrayed. Violated. Angry in a way I'd never felt before. I made a spreadsheet. Yeah, I know, financial controller going to control finances. But I needed to document everything. Date, time, items taken, estimated value. By the time I finished, I had 12 separate incidents documented. Jewelry, clothes, electronics, even some of my good wine from the rack in my kitchen. Those bottles of Napa Valley Cabernet I'd been saving. The total value? At least $8,000. Maybe more. I didn't sleep that night. Just sat on my couch watching footage, taking notes, feeling my stomach twist into knots. The anger kept building. The betrayal was suffocating. The next morning, I called Amber. Hey, I said, keeping my voice casual. Can you and Derek come over for dinner tomorrow night? I want to catch up. Sure, she said. She sounded so happy. So innocent. What time? 7. Perfect. I'll bring dessert. I hung up and felt my jaw clench. It was time they faced what they'd done. They showed up right on time. Derek carried a tiramisu from Whole Foods. Amber hugged me like nothing was wrong, told me my hair looked great. We sat down to eat. I'd made penne pasta carbonara, nothing fancy, just pasta. I watched them closely. Were they checking out my stuff even now? Amber's eyes did linger on my new leather laptop bag by the door. The Michael Kors one I'd just bought. Halfway through dinner, I couldn't take it anymore. Some of my things have gone missing, I said, watching their faces carefully. Amber paused with her fork halfway to her mouth. Derek took a sudden interest in his wine glass. Missing, Amber said after a beat. What kind of things? My silver handbag. Grandma's watch. Some other stuff. Oh, Caroline. Amber relaxed visibly, like she just dodged something. You're always misplacing things. Remember when you thought you'd lost your car keys and they were in the freezer? That was one time and I was 22. Still, she continued, you work so much. You're probably just tired and putting things in weird places. That's when I slammed my fist on the table. They both jumped. I know it was you, I said. My voice was steady, but my heart was pounding. I know you've been coming here and taking my things. I have video. Multiple times. With a timestamp. Clear footage of you both walking through my house. The color drained from both their faces. What? Amber's voice came out as a whisper. That's crazy, Derek said, but he wasn't laughing anymore. How dare you accuse us of stealing? Then he laughed. Actually laughed. You got any proof of that? He said, leaning back in his chair like he had nothing to worry about. Because that's a pretty serious accusation to make without proof. The smugness in his voice made me want to throw my wine in his face. I want everything back, I said quietly. Everything you took. Or I'm calling the police. Amber and Derek looked at each other. Then they both burst out laughing. You're going to call the police on your own sister, Amber said. Please. You won't do that. Besides, Derek added, swirling his wine, so what if we took a few things? You can afford it, you should have been giving us more money anyway. You know we are struggling. That's when something inside me broke. Struggling? I said. You're struggling? I got laid off 2 months ago, Derek said casually. We've been barely scraping by. You got laid off 2 months ago? I couldn't believe what I was hearing. And you didn't tell me? Why would we? Amber said, like this was obvious. So you could lecture us about responsibility? We managed fine by taking what we needed, Derek continued, and the casual way he said it, like my home was their personal store, made me see red. It's not stealing, Amber said, standing up and tossing her napkin on the table. We are family. What's yours is ours, right? That's what family does. We share. Get out of my house, I said quietly. They left, still laughing. Derek called back that I needed to chill out and stop being so dramatic. The second they were gone, I called my mother. This was the moment everything changed forever. Mom, Amber and Derek have been stealing from me, I said the moment she picked up. They've been coming into my house when I'm at work and taking my things. What? Camila? That's ridiculous. It's not ridiculous. It's true. And if they don't return everything or pay me back, I'm going to the police. Silence on the other end. Then Mom's voice, cold and hard in a way I'd never heard before. You will not involve the police in family business, she said. Your sister makes less money than you. You buy all these expensive things, flaunting them. Can you blame her for being tempted? I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Are you seriously defending theft right now? It's not theft when it's family, Mom said. You're being dramatic. And if you go to the police, your father and I will cut you off completely. No contact. Is that what you want? She hung up on me. I sat there in shock, holding the phone like it might bite me. My mother had just threatened to disown me for wanting to report a crime. My own mother. I spent the next hour editing the security footage into a single video. Every incident. Amber and Derek entering my house. Taking things. Leaving with bags full of my belongings. Crystal clear evidence that no one could deny or rationalize away. I sent it to Amber, Derek, and my parents with a message: return everything or pay me $8,000 for what you stole. You have 1 week or I go to the police. My phone immediately exploded. Amber's texts were the worst. You filmed me without permission. That's illegal. I'll sue you. Mom's messages were all about family loyalty and how I was betraying them. Dad texted once. Very disappointed in you, Caroline. The locksmith came at 8 a.m. the next morning. 3 hours and $450 later, every lock was changed. I didn't make spare keys for anyone this time. For the first time in my life, I had a home that was truly mine alone. The texts kept coming all week. Amber switched between anger and manipulation. How could you do this to family? Then, I'm your baby sister. Doesn't that mean anything? Then back to you're pathetic, which who films people illegally? Mom's messages got worse. You're tearing this family apart. Your father can't sleep because of your selfishness. Wednesday, I got a call from Aunt Charlotte, Mom's sister. Caroline, your mother tells me you're having some kind of breakdown. What's going on? Aunt Charlotte, Amber stole from me. I have it on video. That's ridiculous. Amber wouldn't steal. You must be mistaken. I hung up. No point arguing with someone who'd already made up their mind. Thursday came and went. Nothing from Amber or my parents except more nasty messages. Friday morning. Day 7. No money, no returned items. Just a text from Amber. You're bluffing. You'd never actually call the police on family. I drove to the precinct on my lunch break. The officer at the desk, a woman named Officer Jackson, took my statement. I showed her the edited video on my phone. This is pretty clear evidence, she said. Do you know the current location of the stolen items? Probably at their apartment or my parents' house. We'll send officers to talk to them, she said. I gave her Amber and Derek's address, then went back to work. At 6 p.m. that evening, someone started pounding on my door. Caroline, open this door right now, my father's voice, angrier than I'd ever heard it. Caroline, please, Mom was crying. I didn't open the door. Just stood on the other side. They arrested Amber and Derek, Dad shouted. How could you? They're thieves, I said through the door. Thieves get arrested. She's your sister, Mom wailed. And that should have meant something to her when she was robbing me. This is cruel, Dad shouted. You're cruel. If you want them out, return my money. $8,000 for what they stole. That's your choice. They kept yelling for another 10 minutes before finally leaving. 2 hours later, my phone buzzed. A bank notification. $8,000 from my parents' account to mine. The money had spoken louder than words ever could. Saturday morning, I went back to the precinct and withdrew my complaint. Charges dropped. Officer Jackson told me they'd be released shortly. I went home and did something I'd been thinking about all week. I canceled everything. The automatic transfers for my parents' bills. The monthly grocery money. Amber and Derek's rent payment. Then I blocked everyone. Phone, email, social media. Everything. Complete radio silence. 2 weeks later, Aunt Charlotte called from a different number. Caroline, I owe you an apology. I just talked to your mother. She finally told me the whole story. Showed me the video you sent. I can't believe they actually did that. Yeah. Well, there's more. My daughter Sophie just remembered that her gold bracelet went missing after Amber visited her last year. And your Uncle Greg thinks some power tools disappeared from his garage after Derek helped him with a project. I wasn't the only one. No, I'd never been the only one. And now nobody wants them at their houses, Aunt Charlotte continued. Your parents are pretty isolated right now. They're defending Amber, so the family's keeping their distance. Your mom asks about you, she said carefully. She says Amber's been looking for work, but can't find anything. They're all struggling without your help. That's not my problem anymore, I said. I understand. I just thought you should know. After she hung up, I sat back and thought about everything. Did I feel guilty? Maybe a little, but mostly I felt free. For years, I'd been bankrolling 4 adults who were perfectly capable of taking care of themselves. I'd enabled them to be irresponsible, and they'd gotten so comfortable with it that they felt entitled to just take what they wanted. The theft wasn't really about the money or the things. It was about respect. They didn't respect me, my property, or my generosity. They saw me as a resource to exploit, not a person to appreciate. My phone rang. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer, but curiosity got the better of me. Caroline, Mom's voice, using someone else's phone. I hung up immediately. She didn't get it. None of them did. This wasn't about money or things or even the theft itself. It was about finally understanding that the family I'd been killing myself to support saw me as nothing more than a wallet with legs. Well, this wallet was closed permanently. 3 months have passed since I cut them off. 3 peaceful, drama-free months. At first, I kept expecting to cave. Every time I'd see a family at a restaurant or hear a coworker talk about their parents, I'd feel this pang of guilt. Was I being too harsh? Should I reach out, Then I'd remember Amber laughing in my face while sitting at my dinner table, eating food I'd cooked after stealing from me for months. I'd remember Derek's smug voice, saying I should have given them more money. I'd remember Mom defending theft because Amber earned less than me. The guilt would disappear pretty quick after that. Aunt Charlotte became my only connection to what was happening with them. She'd call every few weeks with updates I hadn't asked for, but couldn't help listening to. Amber got a job at a call center, she told me last week. Part-time, minimum wage. Derek's still unemployed. They're all crammed in your parents' house, and it's causing friction. Good for them, I said, meaning it. Maybe they'd finally learn what it meant to work for what they wanted. Your mom's working part-time now, too. At Target. Your dad's picking up odd jobs where he can. That one hurt a little. They were in their 70s. But then I remembered they'd chosen this. They'd chosen Amber's theft over my trust. They paid $8,000 to keep her out of jail instead of making her face consequences. Caroline, Diane said carefully, I know it's not my business, but don't you think it's been long enough? They're struggling. Aunt Charlotte, I supported them for years. And what did I get? Robbed. Then told I was crazy for being upset about it. I understand what they did was wrong, she said, but they're family. So was I said. Didn't stop them. 2 weeks ago, I got a letter. Actual mail, since I'd blocked all electronic communication. Amber's handwriting. Caroline, I'm sorry. I know what we did was wrong. Derek convinced me you had so much that you wouldn't notice. I was jealous of your nice things and your beautiful house, but that's no excuse. I'm working now, trying to pay Mom and Dad back for the money they sent you. It'll take me years, but I'm trying. I don't expect you to forgive me. I just wanted you to know I'm sorry. Love, Amber. I read it 3 times. Part of me wanted to believe it. The other part noticed she blamed Derek, said she was jealous, made excuses even while apologizing. And nowhere did she offer to actually make things right with me directly. I threw the letter away. Yesterday, something interesting happened. I was at work when the receptionist called. Caroline, there's a Ruth here to see you. Says she's your mother. My stomach clenched. Tell her I'm not available. She says she'll wait. Tell her she can wait all day. I won't see her. An hour later, she's still there. The receptionist called again. She says she has something for you. I almost caved. Almost. If she's not gone in 10 minutes, call building security. She left. Last night, I found a box on my doorstep. No note, but I recognize Mom's careful packing. Inside were some of my things. The silver handbag. Grandma's watch. A few pieces of jewelry. Maybe a quarter of what was stolen. It was something, I guess. But it wasn't enough. Not nearly enough. The thing is, I don't want the stuff back. I mean, I do, especially the watch, but that's not really what this is about anymore. I want acknowledgement. Real acknowledgement. Not we are sorry you're upset or we are sorry but you have more than us. I want we are sorry we betrayed your trust, stole from you, called you crazy, threatened to disown you and chose theft over honesty. But I know I'll never get that. They're not capable of it. In their minds, they're still the victims. I'm the daughter and sister with a good job who selfishly cut them off over a misunderstanding. My therapist says I'm doing well. Yeah, I started therapy. Figured I should talk to someone about why I'd let myself be used for so long. You were the parentified child, Dr. Martinez explained. Always responsible, always taking care of everyone else. It became your identity. And Amber was the baby. That dynamic never changed even when you both became adults. So what now? I'd asked her. Now you learn to have boundaries. You learn that love doesn't mean letting people hurt you. You learn that you're worth more than what you can provide. It's been hard. There are days when I want to call them, especially Mom. Days when I remember teaching Amber to ride a bike or Dad helping me with algebra homework. Good memories that make me question everything. But then I remember that they made their choice. When forced to choose between their daughters, they chose the thief. When forced to choose between accountability and enabling, they chose enabling. When forced to choose between honesty and delusion, they chose delusion. I made my choice too. I chose myself. For the first time in my life, I chose myself. My house is quiet now. No unexpected visits, no drama, no one going through my things. I changed my emergency contact at work to Diana. I'm dating someone new, a guy named Andrew who pays for his own dinners and has never once asked me for money. You don't talk about your family much, he said on our last date. There's not much to say. We're estranged. That must be hard. It's just life. And that's the truth. This is my life now. I work. I see friends. I date. I go to therapy. I live in my house that no one else has keys to. It's quieter than before, but it's also more honest. Do I regret going to the police? No. That was the wake-up call everyone needed. Do I regret cutting them off? Sometimes late at night when I'm feeling lonely, but then morning comes and I remember that being alone is better than being used. Aunt Charlotte told me Mom's been telling everyone I'll come around eventually. That I'll forgive and forget like I always do. She's wrong. The old Caroline would have been the one who paid everyone's bills and ignored being taken advantage of. But that Caroline is gone. She had to be. She was killing herself trying to support people who saw her as nothing more than a bank account. This Caroline, the one who stands up for herself, who demands respect, who refuses to be stolen from, this Caroline is here to stay. I don't need their apologies anymore. I don't need their acknowledgement. I don't need anything from them at all. For the first time in my life, I'm free. And I'm never going back.